Hello, I'm here with David Rawlings and can't wait to get to know you.
Thank you.
David and his wife, Mary Lee, have lived in Cottonwood Heights for 27 years and raised 5 children here. He studied at the University of Utah and later at the George Washington School of Government and Business Administration. He worked as a congressional investigator for the U.S. Senate Committee on Labor. You may have seen some of his work on Reader's Digest or on CNN. For 30 years, David has owned and operated a business in the financial services industry that he built from the ground up. He has provided services to people across Wasatch Front and throughout the state of Utah. David has diligently served his community while participating in numerous service projects that have benefited many worldwide. He was the recipient of the BSA District Award of Merit for Outstanding Service to Youth. David has traveled extensively to many parts of the world and was, in years past, an avid marathon runner. Now David is running for City Council in District 3. So welcome, David.
Thank you. Good to be here.
Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you.
We have a few questions for you. So the first one, if it's okay if I start with this, why did you decide to run for City Council?
You know, I get that question almost every day, particularly from my wife. But let me just refer back to my bio if I could. I've lived in Cottonwood Heights for 27 years and I've raised 5 children. 2 of those 5 have decided to remain here in Cottonwood Heights and raise their family. And I have a grandson here as well. So I think I have very much a vested interest in the decisions that are made in the city, not only for myself and my wife, but for my children and my grandchildren as well. In addition to that, I would have to say that it's probably in my blood. I can go back as far as 1880. My great-great-grandfather served as mayor of Salt Lake City when the electric streetcar first came to Utah. So that was a highlight. I've had uncle that have served as mayor of Ogden. I've had my own father who served in the state House of Representatives. I served in the U.S. Senate. And I could go on. So we have a history of public service. And I think I'd be remiss if I didn't also mention the fact that, you know, we had a protest in our neighborhood about a year ago. And our city councilwoman was very much a part of that. And it's not that I have anything against protests in general, as long as they're done legally and they're done properly. But I think the outcome of that really disturbed me because it turned pretty ugly. And in the aftermath of that, there was a lot of disrespect for the police department. I've always held the police in high honor, and I'm very much a law-abiding citizen. So I think I felt like inside that we needed to have better representation and leadership in District 3. In addition, I have the time now. I mean, you build a business from the ground up and you raise 5 children, you're pretty busy. There's not much time to do anything else. And now I have the time, and I think going door to door and knocking and getting to know the people in your district and selling your message and selling yourself requires quite a bit of passion. So I think for those reasons, I'm here running for City Council in District 3.
Great. So you do live here 100% of the time?
I live here all the time except our family retreats to Jackson Hole, Orange County, and occasional visits back east.
Very nice, very nice. So I think what I'd like to know is what strengths, talents, experiences, you touched on those in your bio, what part of that really can you bring to the City Council?
Well, I have experience in both the public and private sector. I've always maintained that anybody serving in elected office should have those perspectives. Now, I know that serving in the U.S. Senate and having my own private business maybe are a little bit different issues, but I think the skill set transfers. If you go on my website about davidrawlings.com, it talks about 3 things: ethics, leadership, and communication. I think an ethical approach is essential no matter what, whether you're dealing with personal relationships, city or business. You need that solid foundation. It has everything to do with trust. I still maintain a relationship with my immediate supervisor of the U.S. Senate. It's been over 35 years. The woman that I hired to work with me in my personal business 33 years ago is still with me today. And today is my 37th wedding anniversary. So I have a history of having long-term relationships, all built on trust. And I think when you work in government, you have to have a constituency that really trusts that you're going to do what's in their best interest. I think leadership is important. Leadership is the essence, because leaders have to make really important decisions that affect so many people, and they have to make critical decisions, and they have to be held accountable for those positions. But it's important because they provide focus, they provide leadership, they provide an array of things that I think they're essential. And communication is also very important. In the work that I do on a daily basis, I communicate with clients about their financial future. And I think it's so important that they trust you and that you listen. You have to be a listening ear, because the decisions that you make in their behalf are going to affect their financial future. With the U.S. Senate, I had to have that same listening ear, because I dealt with victims of labor abuse and corruption, and particularly women. So I think it's important to be sensitive, but also sensible in anything that you do in city government. And I'm a team player. Everything that I've ever done, even community service, is all based around the concept of being a part of a team.
Love that. Thank you. So what would you say are the three most pressing issues that are facing Cottonwood Heights, and how will you address them?
Well, as I go from door to door canvassing, I would say that the issue that is number one for my constituents in my district would be my commitment to law enforcement. And I will tell you that I have met with many of our law enforcement people and Chief Russo in general to pledge my commitment to everything that they do and their efforts and putting their lives on the line for each and every one of us. I think storm drains are very important, because it's pressing because they're long overdue, and I think they need to be addressed here and now. Let me just say, and let me put this in perspective, I own a home here in Cottonwood Heights, but I also own one in South Salt Lake, and I'm paying a storm fee right now that's 4 times what my projected fee would be here in Cottonwood Heights. And I think you need to put that in perspective, because to me that's effective and efficient government. I think our city council and our mayor are looking out after our best interest. I think the gravel pit and the UDOT project up in Wasatch Boulevard and Little Cottonwood Canyon, and of course Big Cottonwood Canyon, are big pressing issues that we need to pay attention to. I'm concerned that in doing these projects that we are sensitive to the people that are most impacted, and those that live up on Wasatch, because of the traffic issues that we're already dealing with before these projects have even gotten off the ground. I think I would deal with these issues the same that I would deal with any issue. The approach would be to seek public opinion and to weigh in more heavily with those that are most impacted. I think also that I would take the team approach and work it out. When I say team, a lot of times people think, well, if you work as a team, you're always going to agree on everything. I think disagreement is oftentimes very helpful and very good, because it causes the group to dig a little bit deeper, consider all the pros and cons, and pick the one that they think would be the most beneficial.
Great, thank you. And why should people vote for you?
Well, for all the reasons I've already talked about, I'm honest, I'm open-minded, I look for the best interest, I judge for the people in Cottonwood Heights, I judge each issue on its own merits. I am not tied to special interest. I think that the decisions should be made without that type of influence. And I think that I'm ethical and I have great leadership skills and communication skills. So, and most of all, above everything else, it's not about me. It's not about my own personal agenda. It's about Cottonwood Heights. They're first and foremost.
Great, thank you. Dave, it's been so great to get to know you.
Thank you.
Where can people get more information?
Vote DavidRawlings.com.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, Melissa.